to the Just Blog Baby podcast after 15 minutes of technical difficulties caused by a tab behind the Google Hangout that I'm looking at. I should have guessed that because this is playing like 30 seconds behind on tape delay, Roy.
Mm-hmm.
So, really bungled it up. I was like, how is it echoing like this was my question for the first part. But that will be edited out, hopefully, because that is a new benefit for going to Google Hangouts. And as you may know, this is the first ever Just Blog Baby podcast on YouTube as we go into a new era. And this is obviously the start of it. We're going to add things like graphics and all of that fun stuff soon enough. And we also have our host and co-host, Rory Anderson, with us to discuss all the New England Patriots preview as well as the Oakland Raiders story of the day. And we have some breaking news that Rory picked up on Twitter as we were figuring everything out. And Rory, can you let us know about that?
Yeah, Chargers placed Melvin Ingram on IR with designation to return. So from my understanding, that's at least 8 weeks. So they're going to be without him for a while. That's going to be a big blow for the Chargers. And I have to look at the schedule if we're going to be playing the Chargers with him out, but that's always a good sign. Be able to double up on Freeney, that sort of thing. That's a big blow for the Chargers, and we'll see how it impacts them. It's a team that I was never really overly high on, and I think they're pretty thin, but we'll see. But it's big news. Chargers are hurting, especially in an AFC West that's been kind of as abysmal on the bottom as it's been. It's going to make things very interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be real difficult for them, especially playing the Dolphins this weekend, but the Raiders themselves, as we talk about getting into the matchup with the New England Patriots, the Oakland Raiders will be without 2 key linebackers now, as I believe Nick Roach and C.L. Moore will both be missing on Sunday in Foxborough. And what is your take on that, Rory?
Well, I hadn't seen the for sure about Nick Roach. I haven't really been up checking today, but I figured that was going to happen. It sucks with not having CO. I mean, it's going to be a little bit of pass rush you're not going to have. I mean, CO pretty much was the reason why J.J. Watt got his touchdown reception last week. He has a tendency to be undisciplined at times. As exciting as he can be, as nice as things he can do, the nice thing about it is it allows Miles Burris to move to the outside, which I think is a good thing. That's actually a good place for him to be, especially if he's going to be allowed to attack downhill, do some more blitzing, that sort of stuff. I like Kaluka-Mayev in the middle. I think he can do fine as a middle linebacker. He's good. He's a little bit better in space than Miles Burris is. So overall, it sucks, but I don't really think that those. Well, the reason why missing Nick Roach stinks is because he sets the defense up. That's really the issue with not having him. So overall, I'm not sure if missing CO is going to be that much of a downgrade, because I do think that you could do some things with Miles Burris similar to CO Moore. But it's not going to help, that's for darn sure. The biggest issue the Raiders have is going to be stopping the run, especially in nickel. So we'll see what they can do. I don't know. It's going to be such a... There are so many unknowns right now, especially with the defense. We'll get into it more, but it's really at a weird spot right now for the Raiders.
Yeah, and I think the thing with C.O. Moore is he's been the best defensive player for the Raiders in the front end of the team. He's been their best outside pass rusher, in addition to has made a lot of key tackles for the team, and it is a pretty difficult situation for him. I first had the expectation C.O. Moore was going to miss the start of the season after that horrific injury in Green Bay, and now that he's out again, that's really disappointing for a player who you'd have to say is the brightest of the Oakland Raiders talents. I think C.O. Moore has been probably their best defensive youngster for the past 2 seasons, and pretty much Reggie McKenzie's 2013 draft pick, C.O. Moore has been the saving grace for him. They haven't got a lot of returns out of DJ Hayden and Menelik Watson, so to miss him kind of sucks, especially when you look at Kaluka-Mayev is not an NFL-level guy to play the amount of snaps you'll have to play if C.O. Moore's out. And that's the same problem we've seen with Miles Burris. I think this harkens back, and harkens is a hilarious word to use. That's a little too old of a word. Bringing out the hark. But anyways, my problem with it is you can't have guys like Kaluka Maiva and Miles Burris in there. That's the problem that happened last season with the 2013 Raiders, who, if you remember, were a lot more competitive until a lot of injuries accumulated. And once again, I think we're learning that Reggie McKenzie has not built up the amount of depth for this to be a contending team, which is pretty much what everyone assumed at the start of the year. And I think you're going to have to see that once again. And I don't know whose fault that is. I would say it is the fault of the fact that this team deconstructed and just hasn't matched their potential expectation. The ceiling for their rebuild was to be competitive and potential to make the playoffs maybe in this season, and they haven't reached that. So the 3-year plan is really showing that it's going to be a long time. And I think this dose of reality really is going to continue this weekend because they're playing a team in the Patriots that's coming off that loss to the Dolphins week 1. So they really need to accumulate wins, and they can't lose to a team like the Oakland Raiders. So right now, I really don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Nick Roach shouldn't be a middle linebacker anyways. He's not that position. He played the weak side for the Chicago Bears all the time. He was a run-and-hit, undersized, 235-pound linebacker. He shouldn't be the Raiders' starting Mike anyways. That's why I was saying all through the offseason they needed a guy, a spike sort of player, somebody who's going to be 255 pounds, who tackles well, is fine in space, who could take on blockers and shed them if need be. They don't have that guy. All these guys are outside linebackers they're trying to use in the middle, so it doesn't really work. Now, you can't fix every problem over the course of, a year in an offseason. It just doesn't work. But the other issue here is what they're doing defensively from the scheme. I don't understand why they're running so much 3-4, and to me, it's part and parcel of the issue because you have a bunch of personnel with Woodley and Tuck, all these guys who do not, even Smith in the middle, they do not two-gap. They don't engage a blocker, look for where the ball's going, and then move to that gap. That's not what they do. They penetrate. Every single one of them is a penetrator. And if you're going to, what the Raiders need to do is go back to their 43 style where they're penetrating, they're shooting the gaps. It's all about single lane gap control. Get in, be disruptive, and then let your linebackers flow. And right now they're expecting their linebackers to do too much. And don't get me wrong, part of it too is execution. There have been times where you've had a guy like Co or Burris have a shot at a guy and then miss it. But to me, they're also being used horribly. I think it's an issue with Tarver, the way he's calling plays, the scheme I don't think is working, and all of this kind of boils together, and then you just have a big cluster F essentially. And I really don't understand the 34. Here's the tough thing. I always wanted them to do some 34, but I kind of assumed when they would do it that it would be done in a way, or it would be done after making certain moves, like bringing in a Spikes, bringing in a guy who can handle those responsibilities from the middle. They don't have that. You have guys in a 34 defense, yes, the defensive linemen are supposed to eat up blocks, but your linebackers, especially inside, are required to take on blockers and shed them, and they just don't do it. So I'm not entirely sure what... from Twitter. So I'm not entirely sure what everyone thinks. It's so frustrating. I just kind of want to smack somebody, to be perfectly honest. I'm getting frenetic and I want to smack someone. We'll see, but that's why I'm saying there's so much unknown going into this game because Dennis Allen sort of intimated that he may be taking over some play calling responsibilities. So if that happens and they go more towards what Dennis Allen did in Denver, then I think you're going to see different sort of defense. But with what they're doing under Tarver, it's like watching a slow death.
But the thing that happens is because Dennis Allen was brought in to be a defensive coach, he's going to get the blame for the Jason Tarver stuff.
Well, of course he is.
And that is what's going to happen. Because the number one complaint with Dennis Allen is usually he's a defensive coach and the defense ain't doing too good type of argument.
Great accent.
It was a great accent. It was my SEC radio call-in accent.
Yeah, but you have to pick one of the small schools.
2 in the afternoon accent. Damn Todd. But yeah. Anyways,
Ugh.
he should, because he's responsible, because he was brought in to be a defensive coach. That's not happening. I really don't see this defense playing much better unless these veterans. Because the problem is this team is really going to need momentum, because like we said during our season preview time and time again, this is a team with young players and veterans who've all done something. So these veterans aren't going to be playing because it's their chance to win a Super Bowl. There's very few players who are going to be motivated by the chance to win a ring who they brought in, because lots of those players have either been to the Super Bowl or have had their run, and this is a chance to maybe do that, but also really a chance to continue to provide for their families. So what are you going to do? I really don't see this going much better for the Oakland Raiders if they continue to lose. And that's unfortunate for Dennis Allen and Jason Tarver, because this defense is what the team, first of all, with Reggie McKenzie as well, you could throw everyone into it, because they've tried to invest in this defense. They have a defensive coach. They brought in a guy they respect in Jason Tarver. They've spent lots of money on defense. And what's happening now? That is the question. Nothing really is happening that as well. And I understand fans' frustration in that situation. And it's really unfortunate that they have two final nails in their coffin, because they're going to go 0-3 to start this season. I will say, if the Patriots win that game, everybody in the world will be surprised. I think if you haven't taken the Patriots in survivor pools and you want to use them in week 4, you'd probably use them in this spot. That is what's going to happen. I would probably take the gander at a consensus of like 99% of the money line bets will be on the New England Patriots. So
most likely.
The whole world is really going to be on them, and you have to expect them to lose. And then they have to travel away. I've made this point on Twitter as well. They have to travel away, so they don't even get to go back to Oakland where their home base is. And I get to see a lot of, first of all, inner squabbling starting, and a lot of just poor chemistry. And that is what happens when teams that can hurt more than just this season. This was a team that they were potentially having these players, because these players aren't all on just one-year deals. They're going to have some of these players around for a long time, and unless these players are going to retire, what's really going to happen? I feel that this is a situation that is a brewing nightmare, and I understand why fans are calling for Dennis Allen's head, but it's not going to get better if they hire Tony Sperano as the interim head coach and just promote from within. That's pretty much the situation you're thinking everything is going to happen. So bring Tony Sperano in, who is the offensive line coach. They're going to promote the offensive line coach to the head coach. That isn't even fair, because the offensive line's been the best personnel group so far this season in many respects. So there's that, and he's a proven head coach. But is this team really going to get positive momentum going, firing a head coach if they're 0-4? I just continue to not see what's going to happen.
What happened?
Side of the things and the writing side of the things have said that. They've said, well, what's really going to happen other than satisfying the mob? And, well, I agree that the mob sometimes needs to be satisfied. The mob, no one's going to be satisfied 1 week later when they lose, because you people are never satisfied. The only thing that's going to satisfy the mob is winning games, and that's not really going to happen this season. If you are thinking they're going to start 0-3, 0-4, they're not going to go 9-3 for the rest of the season after the bye with the schedule they have, no matter who they put in. Their odds, like we've stated, their odds of missing the playoffs are making it are less than going 0-16. It's more likely, according to some advanced statistics, that they'll go 0-16 than make the playoffs. So firing Dennis Allen really isn't going to achieve anything, in my opinion, but this game has the potential. If it gets out of hand, you might even see him gone before the London game. If they're going to fire him after the London game, they're just going to embarrass themselves in London in front of everybody as well. So this is just a no-win situation for the Raiders if things continue to go south.
You know, there's I've heard from people, there's some talk about, the frustration from the players in the locker room, stuff like that. And I get that. They should be frustrated. There's been a lot of execution issues, a lot of veterans who haven't done well. But again, to me, the biggest issue here is scheme. And one thing we know about Dennis Allen, he delegates. He allows Tarver to make the calls, to call the defense, all that stuff. To me, he has to take over the play calling. It's the only chance he has. Because I do believe if he goes to a 43, I've seen it on tape. When they play the 43 on tape, they do well. I mean, it's not amazing, but they do a lot better. And I think if they've been playing majority 43 with a lot of those 43 concepts and press coverage, the way Dennis Allen wants to and did in Denver, I think they're very much in both games, if not, they at least probably could have had a better shot of winning both of them. I do, the Houston game is so tough because it's such a comedy of errors when it comes to the fumbles and everything else. I mean, the Rivera fumble is so stupid because he's got the ball in his right hand. Everybody knows that when you hit the sideline, you switch the ball to the hand that's near the sideline to protect from exactly what happened, which was a fumble in the play in the field of play. The James Jones 2 fumbles on one play was just unreal. I mean, the fact that he could have fumbled once and then scored a touchdown is unreal in and of itself. Of course, Derek Carr's first interception, I mean, he got suckered into that throw, and he should have seen that cornerback crashing and should have had the touchdown to Marcel Reese. There's just so many. It was such a comedy of errors that it's so tough to just blame the defense. I mean, it's so much more of an execution issue in that game. The Jets game, yes, I think there's some blame for the defense. And again, they're so passive. It's not like a defense we've seen from the Raiders before. I'm not sure. I almost think like they had gotten all these toys in, and they got veterans like Woodley. And remember Woodley, when he signed, was talking about how he was going to bulk up, and all he was going to do was rush the passer. Well, if you go watch the tape, they have him standing up, dropping in coverage, doing a lot of stuff that a Leo would do. But Lamar Woodley shouldn't be a Leo. I mean, he's not that kind of guy. I mean, in Pittsburgh, the reason why he had issues was because they asked him to drop in coverage, to do all these different things. Lamar Woodley should be attacking the quarterback on every single play. He should just pass rush. And the same thing goes for Justin Tuck. Why they are having Justin Tuck at a 5-tech position, 2-gapping off of a tackle, is unreal to me. It doesn't make any sense. Because the moment they asked him to go and do a stunt, I saw him blow up the right guard on a wicked rip move and was right into the quarterback's face. So it's not, I don't think it's lack of effort. I think these guys want to win. They want to play. They're just hearing these play calls and kind of going, what the hell are we doing? And I don't blame them. I mean, I would be too. Like, if I'm sitting there and I'm Justin Tuck, I'm going, what are you doing having me in this position? This is not what I do. I spent my entire time in New York rushing the passer. That's how we made money. I mean, Lamar Woodley, all he wanted to do was rush the passer. Smith on the inside, he rushed the passer in a 3-4 defense because the way Wade Phillips sets up his defense, he essentially runs a 43 with 34 personnel, but everybody along the defensive line one gap, so they're always penetrating. And so I don't understand why it is that Tarver has decided that he's going to do all this 2-gapping across this line, all these combo gap responsibilities which aren't working, that do not match the personnel. I mean, the only person that really matches is Jelly. And the thing about Jelly is he can do anything. He's so big and so physical and so explosive, I would have him 1-gap. I would have him as a shade 1-tech right on the edge of the center and blowing up the center on every play. I would not have him 2-gapping. I'd have him right up the middle trying to blow up every run play. So I simply don't get it. And I think it is entirely a scheme issue. And if the Raiders went and called a bunch of 43 plays, I think you're going to see a whole different defense, especially if you see press coverage. And I don't care if it's Carlos Rogers outside and he's not great in press, have him run the press anyways, because all it takes is a second of disruption if you have the good pass rush and you're going to make plays. And again, they'll get the good pass rush if they go back to the 43. So, I mean, okay, getting back to the changing coaches, if you were to fire Dennis Allen and you were to let Tony Sperano take it over, and Tony Sperano were to say to Jason Tarver, quit dicking around with this 34, we're going to go back to 43, you might have exactly what you need. And then all of a sudden you can start winning because the defense is playing better, and it's going to start playing more inspired football. So I think it's pure and simple. It comes down to scheme. I think Dennis Allen has delegated too much, and the only way he's keeping his job is if he takes over the defensive play calls, they go back to what he did best with Denver, and hold on to your butt and hope they win. That's about all it comes down to.
It's kind of weird though because I think the offense deserves a lot equal blame. I think the problem in that game is you can't really blame the offense because you started off 14-0. Like that is just a hard thing to do. How I just still on Saturday, 6 days after this happened, I will not for the life of me understand how after you talked all of that promotion, all of it, all of the promotion you talked about for the entire summer, the entire spring, all of those classic media quotes about, oh, we're going to restore the Raiders' image, we're going to come in here and prove everyone wrong who didn't want to give us money, all of that type of stuff that you heard all offseason from all of the guys, Lamar Woodley, guys who've been here, all that stuff that everyone kind of says. You know what? It means nothing when you go and let a team that drafted first last season that is missing their defensive end who they picked. They don't even have a new offensive player. You let them go 14-0 to start the game, and 3-0 to start on offense. That was the most pathetic start to a season opener I've seen in my 21 years of watching the National Football. Well, probably not 21, but.
Well, and the thing is, if you go back to the 3-and-out, that's Derek Carr who just misses an easy pass for a first down. He just overthrows his wide receiver. So, I mean, it's not a play calling issue. I mean, they picked up a couple yards on the run. They get into like a 3rd and 6. He has an open receiver. He just missed him. And that is what you get with a rookie quarterback. I mean, and look, that doesn't mean they should have been starting Schaub. I think they're doing the right thing starting Derek Carr. I think he's the best quarterback. That's simple. I think he earned it. It's just what you're going to have. And you're going to have that instance where Derek Carr throws that interception when, even though he's working from right to left, he looks at that wide receiver, at Rivera for a split second. He should see that cornerback crashing down on the play. He simply does it, and he throws the pick. So, you know, it's just what you're going to get with a rookie quarterback. It sucks. It's just reality. And the other thing, defensively, they were playing a formation, the Texans were, that all their big plays came off of it, and I never saw it in film study. So I don't have an issue with the Raiders starting slow defensively against it and giving up some big plays. I even think the coaching staff did a good thing in recognizing the fact they didn't understand the formation after the first quarter, adapting the defense to play it. Interestingly enough, the defense did better when it was playing the 4-3 against it later in the game. So, you know, but it took advantage of nickel. It's really, if you think about it, that formation is classic Bill Belichick. Because Bill Belichick loves to go to offset wide receivers, to have overloaded wide receivers on one side, force your defense to spread out, get a numbers game in the box, and then run the ball right down your throat. And I'd expect him to do it tomorrow. And so, I mean, we'll see if the Raiders can play against it, but I don't know, it's so frustrating, and it sucks because this franchise really needs the stability of just having this coaching staff for the whole third year. The amount of respect that Mark Davis would get, the amount of cred he would build up by being patient enough to give it a try, and then firing everybody and starting over would be enough to where he could attract the talent he wants in the coaching and general managers or whatever. So regardless how you feel about Dennis Allen, it really would be best if he stuck around the whole year. I just can't. The only way it's going to happen is if they radically change and go back with the defense. And I have no idea if it's going to happen. To me, it's the only thing that can happen. I just don't know if it will. You know, does he have the guts? Does Dennis Allen have the guts to stand up and say, no, we're not going to be doing this. You're not calling plays. I'm doing it. I don't know if he has the guts to do it. I mean, we'll see.
I always imagine how he'd say that to Jason Tarver.
Oh, hey, no more breaking news. Raiders just signed Boje Philomotu to the active roster.
Yeah, I saw that. That's not
okay.
I was gonna say breaking news, but it's Boje, so it's Boje news. It's not.
I think it's the one we all expected. I wrote that I pretty much told everyone on Twitter I expected Boje to be back, which means that's going to open up the practice squad spot for Shelby Harris as well, so he should be on the practice squad, all that jazz. I didn't see if he got picked up. I don't think he did. But that would mean he's got the open spot there on the practice squad. But yeah, they needed to make the move, bring Boje up. I'm not sure. We'll probably only see him on special teams, but that was kind of the move everybody was expecting. But of course, the other news for those who don't know, Raiders signed wide receiver Vincent Brown this week. Most recently of the Chargers. I think he had something like 60 receptions for 800 yards and like 10 touchdowns the last 2 years. Injury prone, very talented, big physical, fast. So he's an Al Davis special. Size speed guy. So we'll see how much of him we see in the coming games. Love the player if he can stay healthy.
We didn't talk about that. We didn't talk about Vincent Brown
we didn't.
I like Vincent Brown, even though, really, here's my thing with the Oakland Raiders. At this point, as someone who just knows the situations, I just can't really justify getting excited about anything. I just don't think there's any real fix to this problem now that they've started 0-2. They've reached worst case scenario.
Yeah, like I said, I think the only thing that's going to make the difference is a big radical change defensively. I mean, that and, of course, the offense has to be more consistently effective. We can't bail them out. I mean, the first week, I thought Derek Carr was too timid. He had open receivers downfield he never threw to, and that caused a lot of issues in the second half. Last week, of course, was all the fumbles, all the issues. It's bizarre because the Raiders lost badly against Houston for the exact reason why they stayed in the game versus the Jets. They won against the Jets with 2 turnovers. They forced 2 turnovers. They lost to Houston because they gave up 4 turnovers. You don't give up 4 turnovers and win. It just, I don't care who you are, it doesn't happen. Or if it does, it's extremely rare. And the fact that, all 4 of those, well, let's say the 3 of them should have been completely and utterly avoided and happened in situations where the Raiders were in position to score points is probably the most frustrating thing about it all. They shot themselves in the foot. They took points off the board, and 2 of those, the Derek Carr interception and the Michael Rivera fumble, both got returned back for a long distance and gave easy points to Houston. So, as I've been writing on Twitter, to me, you're looking at basically a 23 or 26 point swing. I mean, Houston got a field goal, touchdown, and at minimum, you're talking 3 field goals for the Raiders. So, 26 point swing in that game, and it's a game they lost by 16 points. So, I mean, just think about that. I mean, how they could have won that football game if they're not turning the ball over 4 times. The last turnover, the last interception to Watt, or that whole thing where he's hit and the ball pops up, and I'm not going to put that on anybody. Derek Carr probably should have got the ball out, but he got thwacked pretty good. But it's just frustrating. It really is. And the fact they lost the games completely opposite ways is more frustrating. I don't know about that, actually, now that I think about it. They would have lost the game for the exact same reasons. That would have been pretty bad, because that's a typical Raider thing. To lose like 3 games in a row for the exact same reason every time.
This is how low Raider fans are at this point of the franchise. That they're pretty much just make hypothetical arguments about how could it have been worse. But
it could have, yeah.
But I will say the Oakland A's have discovered worse recently. I tweeted this out on Twitter. They just have discovered worse. I don't like to bring baseball, but it's late September. We can bring some baseball into this for anyone. The thing about Raider fans is because of that whole it's kind of a California-wide type of team that we can't make fun of any team that's being worse than the Raiders, because pretty much every team that Raider fans cheer for in California for baseball are all good. It is amazing. It is like California pays back the fact that other than the Niners, they have pretty cursed football teams by making them almost all pretty steady at baseball. I mean, think about it. You're going to get the Angels, the Giants, the Dodgers, maybe the A's. That's 4 teams in California in the playoffs. When's the last time all 3 California teams in the NFL have made the playoffs? Riddle me that.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Well,
This isn't Stump the Schwab, so we're not going to actually like figure out
Yeah.
the half.
I would say maybe early 2000s, because those Charger teams in the early 2000s weren't bad either. Were they? Oh, they might
You'd
have been.
have to say with Drew Brees. You'd have to say, but remember they had Ryan Leaf at some points in that. So
Yeah, no, Ryan Leaf was like 1997, 1998, wasn't he? Through like 2000.
but what do you quantify as early 2000s? Because the last time the Raiders have made the playoffs is 2002. So I don't think
Yeah.
that never happened. So that's
I,
tough.
I'm kind of thinking like the year they drafted LT and Drew Brees, like that year after. So it must have been maybe like 2002 or something. But yeah, I mean that's what you're talking about. It's pretty. It really sucks. I mean, I really don't. There's not a whole lot you could really say. It's hard to be uplifting. I'm in a weird spot because I'm not overly bummed. I know a lot of Raider fans are just furious, which I understand. I'm a strange person. I come at this in a different perspective, as a lot of people know. And so this doesn't really bug me. I mean, I was hopeful, I was optimistic, but it is what it is. I mean, realistically, it's just, this is the worst case scenario happening, but there's really only one place to go, and it's up. And the Raiders are going to be in a position where they can do that. And if you want to blame the coaching staff, fine, whatever. I do think this team has talent. I don't think it's a lack of talent per se. I do genuinely believe it's a matter of misuse in many respects, especially defensively. I actually don't really have many issues with the offense. I thought the offense did fine. I thought Greg Olsen last game was aggressive. Derek Carr was aggressive. They were taking shots downfield left and right. I mean, I have no problem with that. I liked the play design from Greg Olsen when he had that designed pitch that was actually designed cutback. And they picked up like 25 yards, but, of course, our brilliant, fantastic center that everyone thinks is the next big thing with Wisniewski ends up having a holding penalty after the play blows past him for 10 yards and brings the play back. But it's just frustrating. What I do know is there's a lot of young talent on this team I really like. Derek Carr, to me, keeps impressing. His mechanics have been spot on. I love his pocket presence. I know Ryan Riddle on Twitter early in the week said something like he was watching the Colts game, and Andrew Luck took a hit and delivered a pass. He said something on Twitter like, what we just saw from Luck is something we'll never see from Carr. So on Tuesday, I'm doing I'm doing my Raiders recap, and I'm doing my screen caps, and there's a spot where Derek Carr gets drilled standing in the pocket, and he throws a bullet downfield to Rod Streeter on the sideline for like a 30-yard gain, but Rod Streeter drops the ball. So I took the screen cap and I said to Ryan Riddle, "Oh yeah, I thought you said we were never going to see this from Derek Carr." Just saying. So I mean, he's doing things that nobody expected him to do. I think he's doing well in that sense. Latavius Murray showed a lot in pass protection recently. I'm impressed there. Gabe Jackson's been fantastic. Donald Penn has really stepped up. I think he's actually playing better than Valdir. When I watched Valdir versus the Chargers, I thought he got eaten up. I thought he was a joke. And I don't really, he and Carson Palmer could talk all the crap they want, but I'm not missing either one of them or Hugh Jackson. And, and the offensive line in general, I mean, Barnes is playing better than I thought he would, even though I still think Menelik's going to be perfectly fine in the long term. I think Austin Howard's getting better every game. Wisniewski, he is what he is. He's a mediocre center. I don't expect him to stay around much longer. I have a feeling he's gone next offseason, and I don't have an issue with it whatsoever. Defensively, CO is who CO is. He flows the ball. He makes a lot of mistakes. I think Mack is really starting to show a lot. I've seen some quick pressures from him. Nice bull rush, couple of nice rip and swim moves. I've seen flashes from Woodley. I've seen flashes from Tuck. I thought, McGee's played all right on the inside. Jelly's played all right on the inside. Nothing big, though. It's just inconsistent, and that's what's frustrating, The corners aren't asked to do anything. They asked to just sit back and make a tackle, which I don't understand. I don't know what happened to all the press coverage that they wanted to do for so long. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird. It really is a weird case. I'm not really sure what to say. It's tough.
Yeah. Just wrapping this up, because obviously there's just not much to break down with this Patriots game. There's a lot of good previews we have on the website that you can read about it, where we broke it down. But really, it just boils down to the fact that the Oakland Raiders are 15-point underdogs in this game. You're really going to have to. We do a pretty good job of talking up the Raiders' chances in games because the last 2 games the Raiders had chances to win. They were underdogs in both games. They lost both games. Fans can say either way that they probably could have or should have won the games based on the fact that they have new talent. You could say they should have won last week easier, and they just came out and played terrible. You're not going to win many football games with a rookie quarterback when you start 17-0 down. That just is – it was ridiculous. But this week, the Raiders were expecting to lose no matter what. Like I've said, even if the Raiders started the season 2-0, you'd be really hard-pressed to talk yourself into this game. So what are we really going to preview in this other than I think we hope we see progress from Derek Carr. And really on defense, it's hard for me to say we're going to see any progress without seeing more on the field. So the only thing I can say is hopefully Derek Carr and the offense have a better game and have a good game and make this somewhat respectable. As a fan, that is a fan perspective of this situation. I think most fans, if you're a realistic person, because I know all of you are going to wait until the Raiders are down and say how they're supposed to fire Dennis Allen based on this result. But I think even Mark Davis can tell you that the Raiders were probably going to lose this game no matter who's head coaching. That is just the situation we're looking at. So we're looking at what was an expected loss now after 0-2, probably looking like a guaranteed loss. What are your final expectations for this game before we get to our ATS picks for our Just Block Baby podcast against the spread pick competition that we'll do? We're going to have to get some like graphics now, Rory.
Yeah.
Where we have like official records and stuff. But
yeah. Well, I think it really comes down to one thing. I mean, it comes down to the defense, as we talked about, and totally restructuring it. The one thing the Raiders can do is New England is kind of soft on the interior offensive line. Actually, I wouldn't say kind of soft. They're really soft. And if the Raiders, and personally, what I would like to see, and I'm not sure it's going to happen, but I would like to see a 4-3 setup where it doesn't matter if you go over or under, and I don't feel like explaining that now, but it doesn't matter how you do it, or if it's just straight 43. But if you go Woodley at your right end, you put your depends if you want your three, depends what side you want your 3-tech on, whatever. Then you have Smith, then you take or Jelly as your 1-tech nose tackle, and then Smith is your 3-tech, and then you take Tuck and you go way out like a 7, so he's way off the tackle. So it's a normal 4-3. Doesn't you can get all you want to go odd, you want to go over, under, whatever, doesn't really matter. And then you have Khalil Mack is a guy who plays off of what the defensive ends do. Doesn't matter what side, but he plays off of them. And you have them do a lot of stunts and twists, very similar to what you see from Alden Smith and Justin Smith. That similar sort of interplay that they do that's made them successful. But you do it from a 43. And then from there, you have Kaluka Mayava inside. I think he can do fine inside making tackles. But if you have a guy like Jelly in there and he's eating up blocks and you're allowing him to penetrate, I think you're going to cause disruption. And I think taking that size advantage inside, the combination of really big with Jelly and nimble with Smith, I think you could wreak some havoc on the interior, disrupt the running game, and disrupt Tom Brady, because we all know he hates interior pressure. You run, and then you do press coverage. I think it's the only chance you have of having enough defense that your offense has a shot to win the game. And because in reality, even with Darrelle Revis, and Darrelle Revis is playing well, the New England defense isn't that great. It flashes, it can be really good, but when you watch the Minnesota game, it's very eerily similar to the Raiders-Texans, where the Vikings will start moving the ball and then they'll just shoot themselves in the foot. And they had 4 turnovers in that game, and most of them were the fault of the Vikings. And it's one of those things where I think you could utilize Streeter out of the slot, make a lot of hay with him offensively. I think a guy like Rivera is going to get some decent matchups. They got a couple of nice, linebackers with Jamie Collins. And, of course, they got a good pass rusher, Chandler Jones. But I think those are guys that you can be successful against and, produce enough offense to where you can win the football game. So, to me, it all comes down to the defense and, of course, the turnover battle. And That's why I'm saying we really don't know. We have to see what they come out and decide to do defensively before. And simply put, we just have no idea.
I'm a pessimist, so I'm already knowing exactly how I'm going to spend my Sunday. I'm going to spend my Sunday watching this game.
Well, luckily I'm at church when this game happens, so
See,
I'll check it after church, and it'll be a total disaster. It'll be lovely, and I won't have to deal with any of the BS.
you all know that even if the Raiders weren't playing, I personally would not be in church, if you know. So I will be, and it's an early game, so yeah. I'm gonna put the Raiders on my against the spread parlay for fun. That's what I'll do tomorrow. I'm going to continue to make notes, watch the game, and then once the Raiders start losing, the mentions will be blowing up, as they did last week, and every week that the Raiders have lost for the past 2 months, and it'll be an adventure. I don't see this being a positive game. I see this being a game where the Raiders, unless the Raiders lost on the last drive of the football game, nobody's going to be happy. Because, you know what, if they lose on the last drive to the Patriots, I'm not going to let anybody not be happy. I'm going to be like, you guys are selfish bastards. Pardon my language. I mean, if they're 15-point underdogs and it goes to the last drive of the game, I think that's best case scenario. My best case scenario for this game is the Raiders who finish within 1 touchdown. That is a best case scenario for this game. It's pretty depressing.
I'm the eternal optimist. Here's the thing. Like when I did my prediction on the column, I kind of figured there's no way that. Are you picking up an echo?
No.
That's just me then. I won't let it bother me. I basically decided that there's no way a coach, especially defensive coach like Dennis Allen, can go into New England and not radically change what he's doing. So I do think if they do that, like I said, there's going to be success. If it really happens, I don't know. And I can see it being ugly. But I do know this. It won't be as bad as Atlanta and Tampa Bay. It won't be that bad.
Okay. I think that's the final segue into our against the spread picks, because Rory has an update on our full records, but after like every single person I talked to was like, probably take the 6.5 on the Falcons. I decided to be a trailblazer. Look, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers needed a win last night, Rory, is what I sold to myself. Usually when you go with those old, terrible gambler maxims, like, they need a win, like, that type of stuff usually gets up to fail, especially when the Bucs start the game off 21-0. That was a terrible thing. So, as we talk about our ATS pick'em pool, Rory won last night. He had the Falcons. I lost. I had the Bucs. And we're going to go to our final ending of this first ever live version of the Just Block Baby podcast with our Against the Spread picks. And Rory, the first game is... next time I'm going to screenshot the board. And we'll just talk with the screenshot and not our faces. See, we're going to learn. Bear with us. All of the diehard fans are probably going to find this eventually and listen to it because they like us. So that's nice. But this isn't going to be the best version of this podcast. But
no, baby
steps. Yes, baby steps. Early game. September 21st, 2014 are all of these games. Early game. The West Coast teams are pretty much all on the East Coast this week. And we've got Chargers, Bills.
Well, hold on. Before we go, let's cover the first 2 weeks. So I went through and I made sure everything's caught up. Week 1, I got 7. You got 8.
Okay.
All right. Week 2, you had 8. I had 9. So we're officially at 16 all. Well,
we're not Bill Simmons.
Thursday, then it's 17-16.
Yes.
So, but that's where we stand right now.
We're presently well out of the Simmons zone, by the way. Like, we're close to 60%, which is usually, like, the benchmark of success. So, hey. Our goal for the Just Blind Maybe podcast, other than this contest, is to have a better against the spread record than Bill Simmons.
Well, if you go off his last year numbers, I'm not sure how hard that is.
Yeah, last year numbers were bad. I think Bill Simmons watches less National Football League now. Is also something. Like, he's a little bit too successful to be good at gambling. Is kind of how I feel about the situation. Which is either praise or criticism, depending on how you think I value people. But
it's an odd backhanded compliment.
Yeah, it's an odd backhanded compliment. I don't know. It's always awkward how he puts his picks into his criticisms of the National Football League. Like, I would make a separate column. Like, you know what I mean? That's just me. But, man.
Yeah, but you don't make millions of dollars every year, so.
Yeah, I don't. One day.
All right, so San Diego at Buffalo.
+2, -2.
That's what you have? Okay, I wrote down my numbers yesterday, and I had it at negative. I had Buffalo at -2.5.
Oh, well, it doesn't really matter.
So you have them at -2. I think this Melbourne-England line moved it from -2.5 to -2.
You know what? I have Bills.
Yeah, all right. I'm going to take San Diego.
You're going to take San Diego. Okay.
Yes. I think they're going to win it outright.
Yeah, I as somebody who bets the games, I probably wouldn't take a spread on that. You're either going to take the juice on the Bills or lay the underdog on the Chargers. The Chargers have a good chance, but Buffalo's really good at home, Rory. So
I don't buy them at 3-0. I just can't do Buffalo at 3-0.
Well, it might be. Cowboys Rams. I got Cowboys because the Rams are just terrible at quarterback. This is a game, but even if the Cowboys are terrible on defense, I feel they're going to win this game on the road. Give me 1, and 1.5 is good enough value for me here.
Yeah, I had Dallas at +1, and I'll take them. So Washington and Philly, and I got Philly at -6. What do you have?
Yeah, it's the same line. Sportsbook.ag lines. We should just contact less reputable sportsbooks to sponsor this segment, Rory.
I have an app on my tablet I use.
Off of the shores of Costa Rica, as most of the ones that are being ran in North America are. Give us a call.
So who do you got? I'm taking Washington on this one.
You know, it sucks. Oh, you didn't say the R word this week. So success. Rory gets a half point.
Oh, what, Redskins?
Yeah. Oh, there you go. The football franchise.
Yeah.
The Washington FFs. I got Eagles just because. I don't know. I just after that comeback, I just don't see Washington managing the pace. But next game, we've got a pick'em. We've got Giants, Texans. The Canadian gas station actually has the Giants as +2.5 today, so I might have to go and take that because I've got the Giants. They can't go 0-3. They'll win this game.
I can't believe you started off something with the Canadian gas station.
all of our gambling that isn't online is done through the lottery corporation. So you gotta go to a gas station or maybe a grocery store that has a lottery place. That's usually what you gotta do.
I don't think I wrote this one down. How bizarre. What's the game against?
Texans at Giants.
Houston and
it's pick 'em.
I didn't write it down. How bizarre.
Well, you
Houston at and
I gotta make a judgment call.
And who was what was the pick'em?
It was a pick'em?
Yeah, 0-0.
That's tough. I don't buy Houston being 3-0. I'll take the Giants.
Yeah.
Something doesn't sit right, especially after last week.
This is the Giants' last stand as well, though. Yeah. I'd say this is one I tread very lightly on, and I may go the other way potentially at some point. with my non-pick with this, but right now I'm going to have to go with the Giants. Just because I just can't really see them going 0-3.
Well, and don't forget, Tom Coughlin came out with the big news that he's playing music to inspire his players, so I think that'll make the win happen.
What music is old-ass, pardon my language, that's the first swear on the video podcast, old Tom Coughlin gonna be listening to? Like,
John
really,
Denver.
Like, what is he playing? What is he playing, like Glory Days by Bruce Springsteen to just
The older. I'm saying John Denver, Frank Sinatra, or Coltrane.
It's 2014. He's not that old. He's not Lou Holtz. Like, come on.
Lou Holtz. Okay, so Minnesota, is the next one Minnesota at New Orleans?
Yeah, it is. I'm sorry for giving you a belly laugh, Rory, on the podcast.
Oh, that was good.
Okay. You know what? Here's the thing. There's going to be so much public money on the Saints. Just give me the Vikings, just because. That is just...
I find it very hard to pass up 10 points. But no Adrian Peterson in the dome, and I don't see New Orleans going 0-3. That just seems crazy to me.
Oh yeah. Never mind. I forgot about this. Give me the 10.5 for the Saints. There's no.
Okay, you'll take New Orleans then. Okay.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the. I will admit, you just sold me on this, Rory. Thank you.
It's tough to lay 10 points.
It's always tough. In the National Football League, 10 points is a hard lay. But you get yourself in trouble when you lay every underdog. And they're starting Matt Castle confirmed as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, there's no... I'm done with Matt Castle. Matt Castle can go screw himself. You could see them doing a 10.5 point cover, but... after last week and all of this mess, the Saints are going to put up some first quarter points, and you might not see the Vikings recover.
I'm with you. All right, Tennessee at Cincinnati. Cincinnati is -7.
-7?
That's what I have. What do you have?
Titans.
Okay. I'm about to take a Titans.
I'll give some justification on this just so people have some. It's hard because 7 points is a key total. If it's 6.5, maybe you'd go Bengals. But Jake Locker isn't like completely terrible. This Titans team can cover the spread. And really, I don't know. 7 points is hard with me with the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Well, the problem is you have no AJ Green. It's the turf toe issue. Or at least you have him. You're not sure how much you're actually going to see of him. So that's an issue there. And the thing about Tennessee is I don't think they win this game, but I do think it's closer than 7. That's the thing. I think they'll be within 7. So from there we got Baltimore at Cleveland. Cleveland getting 1.5 is what I have. You there? Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine. We probably have more. So Baltimore at Cleveland. I have Cleveland getting 1.5. Yep.
Rory, my laptop is dying. I'm grabbing my charger. Sorry.
Always plug in the laptop, dude. Well, for some side comedy here. The weird thing is I'm actually hearing an echo of myself in my headphones, and it actually reminds me of my radio broadcasting days. And for those who've never broadcast on the radio, it seriously sounds like when you're on the radio that you have a voice in your head, because as you speak, you hear yourself. It's very bizarre to think getting used to, because you could totally lose your thoughts. But I'm doing fine with it. It's just very bizarre. I wasn't expecting it.
Rory, you can stop your broadcasting tangent now.
I know. All right, so Baltimore, Cleveland getting 1.5. I'm taking the Ravens.
You know what? I have to, because first of all, in my pick'em pool, my teammate is not letting us take the Browns. So Here's the thing: the Browns. A lot of people you can see why, because the Browns are a great home team. This may not line up statistically, but I just always have the feeling that the Browns are a great home team. I'm just giving a real Skip Bayless level analysis of this, in that the Browns are. I just have the feeling that the Browns are always this team that when they're at home, they generally are less terrible, and we saw that against the Saints. But can they do that 2 games in a row against a Ravens team that already beat a team? They have the extra rest from the Thursday game as well in this situation. So I'm going to have to take the Ravens here. Because it's only a point and a half, that's good enough for me to take them.
I can definitely see this game going.
Field goal if I was taking the Browns.
Exactly. Because I was about to say, I can see this game coming down to a last drive. Flacco gets him within field goal range, and Tucker smacks one through. And, win by 3. So Green Bay at Detroit. Detroit minus 2.5.
Yeah, I got it at 2, but that's really irrelevant here. It's hard because the Packers' defense is terrible.
So was Detroit's, though.
Yeah, but their interior defense. Man, the total in this is 53.5.
I'm taking the over.
Yeah. This is a game that's good for teasers because I would tease the Packers to 9 and the over to 46 if I was going to bet on this game. Like, I wouldn't bet on a +2. That's just a general rule, but this isn't against the spread competition, so we're not being babies. This is the beauty of picking every game. It's tough. This is tough. You're getting proof of how tough it is to do this right here because this is a tough game. Packers.
So you take a Packers? So am I.
I got to. Here's the thing, though. The Lions just always choke, and the Packers just always find a way. You know what I mean, Rory?
Yes. I had the same thought.
That's just the problem. The Lions always get in the way of themselves. But the Packers' defense, I feel, is worse than the Lions. But because of the fact that it's just tough.
I can't also totally agree or buy into Matt Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
I could totally see him choke one, to throw some away, whatever. It doesn't matter. I found this line also.
I'll take the 2. Guy.
Yeah, I'm with you. Give me Green Bay in the points.
Colts. Because of the same reasoning as the Saints, Colts roll. Andrew Luck steps on the jugular in this game.
I did find this line to be very irritating, though. Because it's another one of those where, with Jacksonville at home, they've had good moments against Indianapolis. Indianapolis has no defense to speak of. But of course, Jacksonville has no offense. All wide receivers are beat up. You give me one healthy wide receiver on Jacksonville, I might have taken them. If you gave me Marquise Lee or whatever, but they got nothing going on right now, so I'm taking Indy.
Yeah.
All right, Oakland and New England. I've got New England at -14. Do you have them at 15?
I guess it's 14 now.
Yeah, I have them
Rory,
-14. I'm taking Oakland on it. I can't give up 14 points.
There's an Amy Trask parody account, like inspired Amy Trask Raiders account now.
Oh, lovely.
So now we've got Hugh Jackson, John Gruden, and Amy Trask all this week. Those are all new ones. All new. I think they're looking for notoriety because I always make fun of them whenever they tweet at me. So this one, I'm sorry. But I think I have to give fake Amy Trask some attention because otherwise I'd just be being rude to the real Amy Trask.
I like the real Amy Trask. I have a feeling whoever does the fake one is just going to annoy the crap out of me.
Well, these people just don't do fake things. They just chime in that the Raiders need to fire everybody. These are the new accounts.
Precisely. That's why they're going to.
And what are they? Who are they taking advantage? Like the mentally challenged or like reality challenge? Because like everyone knows that account is not damn real. Who has a working brain? Like you're like those people who spend their whole day sending people fake emails trying to get their money.
I feel bad for NFL fans. They don't know how to get anybody fired. Look at European soccer. They know how to get people fired.
Yeah, if they want to start chanting, you're getting sacked in the morning to Dennis Allen, I'm on board. I will be on board if after the bye at the next home game they chant you're getting sacked in the morning to Dennis Allen. I will warm up to an in-season firing. There you go.
And it sucks. I'm a Newcastle fan, so I know all about bad coaches that need to be fired.
Yeah, Alan Pardew. They came back against Hull today.
I know. I'm so bummed because I was trying to do 3 things at once, and I accidentally deleted my recording of the match. So really bummed. But Pappy Cisse coming back and after his exploded kneecap, get the brace, and of course he mentioned Jonas Gutierrez, who's fighting testicular cancer. That's good.
Yeah.
But again, Oakland, New England. I'm taking. I can't lay 14 points. I'm sorry. I know all the things are against it. I just can't lay 14.
I can't lay 14 points. Neither. It's a national football league. I very rarely lay 14 points in anything because I'm a sucker for the underdog. But there's no way in hell I'm laying 14 points in a National Football League game. Last year the Jaguars were like 17 to the Seahawks, so it can't be that.
Well, here's the thing. Remember week 1, you had the Jacksonville Jaguars, who I think were 17-point dogs to Eagles, right?
Yeah.
And they almost spun it on its head and won that thing, and then, of course, they lost it. But they didn't cover.
Remind everyone that they didn't cover the spread, please, Rory.
I know. Well, I just said that they didn't cover, which really bummed me out. But I simply can't lay 14 points. I couldn't then, and I won't now.
Guess what? My online sportsbook has this option where in-game you can cash out at any time. So like when the Jaguars were up, you can cash out.
Yeah, but you probably cash out less than often, right?
Less than often, but like when like a team like in the EPL when like Everton scores and I happen to win, I cash out immediately.
Yeah, but do you get the full payout for it?
No, it's adjusted. You got
okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
It makes things a lot more mentally straining. But when the Jaguars go up 14 points, you probably are just going to take that money.
Just cash it.
Because it gets as close as possible to full profit if it's like a 31 point against the spread lead or something.
That's actually interesting.
Tangent over. Back to Niners Cardinals. The gas station's giving 3.5 to the Cardinals in this game. So I'm disappointed to find out it's only 3.
Yeah, I've got only 3.
In case you haven't noticed, I'm probably going to go to the gas station and put a bunch of bets down at those stupid Canadian odds when I get home. Like, I don't even think they adjust the lines. They've only adjusted the Jameis Winston line by taking it off of the board. So anyone who bet on that game won't get it. But it was like 17.5 today, Rory.
Wow.
At the gas station. Someone out the Western Canadian Lottery, like the odds makers for that, I don't even want to know who they are because they're probably terrible odds makers.
It's probably government people that don't even know what they're doing.
Yeah, probably. Because that's exactly what it is. They do have EPL, so that's nice. I shouldn't hate on them.
So I'm taking the Niners.
Yeah. Niners? Cards? Is Carson Palmer
in Arizona?
Is he out?
I think he's officially out.
Oh, never mind. Screw that. Niners.
I think. Hold on. I don't want to mislead you. So let me check just to make sure.
I'm googling it myself.
Oh my.
I don't trust you. You're.
Roto World.
He's out. Yeah, he's out officially.
He is out.
Never mind. Give me the 3. It's interesting because I'm assuming the odds makers think they know something we don't with that line. in that Drew Stanton is still very good. The thing is that Drew Stanton isn't bad. Last week, Drew Stanton did pretty decently well. But
you know the other thing about this is what's his name? Abraham. Officially done for the season. So I'm not sure, what that's gonna do for this defense. But I just don't think it's Arizona. And as badly as San Francisco choked last week, I just don't see him doing it again.
I'd rather be taking the points than laying the points here. But a field goal. If the Niners win this game, it should be by a field goal. So -3, give it to me. Yeah.
Alrighty. So Denver at Seattle. Seattle 5-point favorite.
I got 4.5, but that's okay. You know what, donkeys. They're improved this season, and really everything went wrong for the Donkeys in the last time. So in the Super Bowl. So let's say that I'll take the 4.5.
So you're taking Denver then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, I'm taking Seattle.
Okay.
I'm just not going to bet against Seattle in Seattle. Pretty simple for me.
But it's 4.5.
Alrighty, so you got Denver. I'm taking Seattle. You got Denver in the points.
Mm-hmm.
KC at Miami. I have it at -3.5 for Miami. And I'm taking Miami.
You're taking Miami.
I think they beat up on KC a little bit in this game.
You know what? Give me the Chiefs. I don't like the Dolphins. I just don't. The Dolphins are so inconsistent that they may be able to. And this is a game the Dolphins really need to take, but a field goal is just too much for me. I think the Chiefs are going to get into this game. They have no. This is a game where, once again, this is where you get a good spot with the 0-2 team here.
Mm. Yeah, the thing about this is I'm thinking Jamal Charles, his status, plus a good front four with Miami. I kind of like that combination. So I'm going to give it to Miami. I think Miami does a little bit of damage to KC. KC's defense has been pretty blah. So I'll take him. And I'm going to check up on Charles real quick. Just to make sure. Let's see here. Jamal Charles. He's questionable, limited in practice Friday. Looked a little sore, but he did okay. Charles is shaping up a game-time decision. Even if he plays, I don't think he's going to be doing a whole lot. I think we'll probably see a good chunk of Alex Davis. Yeah, I'm going to take Miami. All right, Pitt at Carolina. Carolina's a 3-point favorite.
Mm-hmm.
They're basically just saying Carolina's at home. We'll just give them the 3 points for being home. That's about it.
I'll take Carolina in this game.
I'm taking Carolina as well. All right, we talked about breaking news. I just saw this, and I can't believe I'm saying it, but I'm assuming something bad happened today because I haven't watched this match. But I guess the hashtag Rodgers out is trending in Liverpool. As in Brendan Rodgers? Liverpool, please fire Brendan Rodgers so he can come to Newcastle. Do it, Liverpool.
They lost to the Hammers, is what happened.
Okay, well I'll watch that match later today. But
okay, we're trying to wrap this up here, so
already. But I just saw that. I thought it was interesting. I'm just I wonder if there's going to be a futures bet on Liverpool firing Brendan Rodgers. I'll take it. All right. Let's see. Chicago and New Jersey. Otherwise known as the Jets. Jets 3-point favorite.
2.5 now. 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah, I like Jets. Jets. Jets.
Jets. Suck. Give me Chicago.
Jets. More like REX. Rex.
Oh,
Rex with Trestman's like
or
as a
REX foot XXX.
yeah, that's true. But as a football nerd and as a Canadian, the offense versus defense battle, and also the quarterback versus like completely like disregarding the quarterback position entirely battle between Mark Trestman and Rex Ryan is going to be great. I just have Rex winning this. I like Mark Trestman. I like the offense. I do not like the defense. And I like the Jets' defense doing enough. That's just what I like in this game. And they're at home on Monday Night Football. So,
Yeah, for me, those big wide receivers against that depleted secondary. Give me that. I know the defense is going to struggle. You got no Peanut Tillman, but I still think Gino's going to make a mistake or two. And Chicago wins that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like it. I like it fine.
But anyways,
we'll go for all these games. We'll go for. I already wrote down the spread on my sheet. So I'm gonna judge them off what I wrote down for mine. So we've had like a half a point differences on a couple of these, like with Chicago, New Jersey. I don't know why I keep saying that.
Okay, you know what though, Rory? I'll say that's fair enough because I'm assuming you got yours on Friday.
Yeah, I got them yesterday.
Okay, yeah, because then we've done Friday for all the other ones. So, okay, that's fair. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, that's our against the spread picks for the week.
And we're tied at 16.
Yeah, we're tied at 16.
So,
hopefully we both have winning weekends so we can brag that we have winning against the spread records on every game of the season.
That'd be nice. This is the first time I've really gone against the spread. I usually just do pick 'em.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm happy. 50-50 against the spread. That's not bad.
Yeah. So, this has been the Just Block Baby podcast live on YouTube via Google Hangouts. We thank everyone who has tuned in today, and you can find us later on YouTube. It will be on Just Block Baby's website, and we'll be back on Monday, hopefully with some crisper stuff going on. We're going to try to improve every day. This is the start of this. We really, in hindsight, should have given up on Block Talk Radio during the off-season and went to this before the season started. But, hey.
Probably.
This is a new era for the Just Block Baby podcast, and we thank anyone who's tuned in, contacted us on Twitter, let us know, or commented on YouTube, and we'll be continuing to tinker with stuff. So it's nice and improved. We're joining the new wave of what a lot of people are doing. I think the sound quality, a lot of people have said, was a lot better today, and hopefully that continues. But other than that, you're on your own. You can find all of our preview for the Patriots game and our recap on Just Block Baby on Saturday and Sunday. And you can contact us on Twitter to let us know how you feel about the Raiders game and interact with us from there all day tomorrow. And you can find me, myself personally, at Chase Ruttig, and you can find the Holistic Pickle, Rory, at holistic_pickle on Twitter. And other than that, this has been the first episode.
Of course it did that.